Vital stabilizing. Hang in there.
What happened?
Ambush. You're safe now.
The artifact?
The night was heavy and silent, broken only by distant alarms and the slow fall of ash from the sky. A massive alien ship lay torn open across the black ground, its metal skin ripped like paper, glowing red from inside. Rain mixed with ash and turned the soil into dark mud, reflecting warning lights that blinked again and again. Ethan Cross moved slowly through the wreckage, his rifle shaking slightly in his hands. He was a human soldier, alone, bleeding from his side, and almost out of ammo. Every step hurt, but stopping would mean death. His helmet scanner flickered, damaged from the crash, and his radio answered only with static. "Command, this is Ethan Cross," he whispered, but no voice came back. The battle was over, and he was the last one breathing. Then he heard it, a sound that was not human, a weak voice, thin and broken, coming from behind a bent metal wall. Ethan froze, his finger tight on the trigger. Aliens were enemies, that was the rule. But this voice did not sound like a threat. It sounded like someone dying. He pushed the metal aside and stepped through smoke and sparks. Inside the broken chamber, blue light flickered over shattered glass and cables. And there, lying on the floor, was an alien woman. Her skin was pale blue and marked with faint glowing lines. Her chest rose and fell slowly, like each breath might be her last. Beside her lay a tall armored guard, unmoving, his weapon cracked in two. A destroyed medical pod sparked near the wall, its screen broken. The alien woman turned her eyes toward Ethan, and fear flashed across her face. She tried to move, but her body failed her. Ethan lowered his rifle, his heart pounding. She was not attacking. She was dying. And somehow, he knew she was important. He checked the area quickly, then looked back at her. "Stay alive," he said quietly, not knowing why he spoke at all. The alien's eyes flickered with confusion. Ethan tried his radio again, louder this time. No signal. The device replied in cold text. Time was running out, and help was not coming. The alien's wrist device suddenly lit up, projecting strange symbols into the air. Ethan did not understand the words, but one thing was clear. A red warning symbol flashed again and again. Then his helmet translated a single line. Compatible donor detected. Species human. Ethan stared at the words, his breath catching in his throat. Blood transfer required. The device continued. If no transfer occurs, subject will expire. He looked down at the alien woman. She looked back at him, her eyes wide, weak and afraid. He shook his head slowly. "If I do this," he muttered, "I could die too." He was already injured, already losing blood. This was not his mission, not his war anymore. For a moment, he considered walking away. No one would blame him. No one would even know. But then he remembered the screams from the battlefield. He remembered his team now gone. And he remembered why humans fought in the first place. With a slow breath, Ethan removed his glove. He pressed his arm against the device as it extended thin needles. Pain shot through him as the transfer began. His vision blurred, and his knees almost gave out. But the alien woman gasped sharply, her body tensing. Color slowly returned to her skin. Her eyes opened fully, glowing bright with sudden life. Before Ethan could react, she grabbed his wrist with surprising strength. Her grip was firm, almost desperate. At that moment, a strange symbol on her chest began to glow. Lines of light spread across her body like fire under skin. A low pulse echoed through the chamber. Ethan pulled back, fear rising in his chest. "What did I just do?" he whispered. The device beeped one final time, then shut down. Far above them, unseen in the dark sky, a signal burst outward. It traveled far beyond the broken ship, and something powerful heard it. Ethan did not know this yet. All he knew was that staying here meant death for both of them. He lifted the alien woman carefully and moved through the wreckage. He found an old human bunker half buried in rock. Inside, it was dark but safe, hidden from scanners. He laid her down gently and collapsed beside the wall. When she finally spoke, her voice was soft but clear. "You saved me," she said. "I am Lyra." Ethan frowned, confused and tired. She told him she was a princess, hunted by her own empire's enemies. If they found her, they would kill everyone nearby. Ethan closed his eyes for a moment, then spoke firmly. "One night," he said. "At sunrise you leave." He did not want more trouble. Lyra looked at him calmly, and with quiet strength, she answered, "No." Outside the bunker, the sky began to hum. Dark shapes moved above the clouds. Imperial drones had arrived, searching, and somewhere in the darkness, the hunt had begun. If you enjoy deep HFY sci-fi stories like this, gently consider subscribing to the channel for more human strength tales. The bunker stayed silent after the drones passed, but the danger did not leave with them. Ethan Cross did not sleep. He sat near the broken doorway and watched the dark sky through a narrow crack. Every sound made his hand move toward his rifle, even though he knew the ammo was almost gone. Behind him, Lyra shifted on the cold floor, her breathing still slow but stronger than before. She tried to sit up, failed, then tried again with clear, stubborn will. Ethan noticed and moved toward her. "You should not move," he said quietly. "Your body is still weak." Lyra looked at him, her eyes sharp despite her pain. "If I stay still, I die," she replied. Ethan frowned, not understanding. She slowly stood, leaning against the wall, refusing his help. When the first light of dawn touched the sky, Ethan packed his few supplies. "We leave now," he said. "There's a neutral trade station 2 hours from here." Lyra nodded, but did not ask where she would go. She simply followed him as he stepped outside. Ash still fell from the sky, covering their tracks almost as fast as they made them. They moved through broken hills and burned metal. Ethan walked ahead, scanning every ridge and shadow. Lyra followed closely, even when her legs shook. Several times Ethan stopped and turned toward her. "You need to rest," he said firmly. "If you collapse out here, we both die." Lyra met his eyes and shook her head. "You saved my life," she said. "You are my safe bond." Ethan stopped walking, confusion clear on his face. "I am not your guard," he replied. "I am just a human soldier trying to survive." Lyra stepped closer, ignoring the pain in her body. "In my culture," she said slowly, "when royal blood is saved by another, a bond is formed." Ethan stared at her, not liking where this was going. "This is not magic," she continued. "It is duty, honor, and imprint." She touched the glowing mark faintly visible under her skin. "My body remembers who gave life. My mind accepts who is safe." Ethan clenched his jaw. "I did not agree to this," he said. Lyra lowered her head slightly. "You still did it," she answered. They walked in silence after that, the tension thick between them. By midday, the trade station came into view. A ring of metal platforms floated above the desert, ships moving in and out like insects. Ethan felt a small sense of relief for the first time since the crash. "This is where we part," he said. "I will hand you over to station security. They will protect you." Lyra stopped walking. "No," she said calmly. Ethan turned sharply toward her. "This is the safest place," he insisted. "I cannot protect you from an empire." Lyra's eyes hardened. "You are already protecting me," she replied. "If I leave you, the bond breaks. That is death for me." Before Ethan could answer, alarms rang out across the station. Ships changed course suddenly, docking arms pulling back. People began to run. Ethan grabbed Lyra's arm and pulled her behind a cargo wall. Figures in dark armor moved through the crowd, scanning faces. Bounty hunters, fast and organized. "They are early," Lyra whispered. Ethan cursed under his breath. He pulled her deeper into the station, using smoke vents and side paths. Blaster fire erupted nearby, sending people screaming. Ethan pushed a crate over to block a passage. Lyra watched him with wide eyes. "You fight like a cornered animal," she said. "Humans often are," Ethan replied. They barely avoided a patrol and slipped into a service tunnel. Inside the tunnel, Lyra collapsed to one knee. Ethan caught her before she hit the floor. Her skin felt cold. "This bond is hurting you too," she said softly. Ethan said nothing, but his vision swam for a moment. He helped her stand again. They reached a small control room overlooking the docking bay. Ethan locked the door and checked the scanner. Too many signals. They were surrounded. Suddenly, Speakers across the station crackled to life. A calm voice filled every corridor. It spoke in perfect common language. "Princess Lyra," the voice said, "your location is known. Surrender now." Ethan moved in front of Lyra, without thinking. The voice continued, cold and clear. "If you do not comply, humans will die." The words echoed through the station, and the hunt reached its breaking point. The control room shook as distant weapons fired across the station. Warning lights flashed over Ethan Cross and Lyra as the hunter's message echoed in their minds. For a moment, neither of them spoke. Ethan finally broke the silence. "They will kill people for you," he said. "That makes you dangerous to stay near." Lyra looked down at her glowing mark. "It already makes you dangerous too," she replied. Ethan frowned and checked his scanner again. "They are locking the exits," he said. "We need answers fast." Lyra took a slow breath and straightened her back. "In my empire," she began, "royal blood is sacred. It is not just flesh, it is law." Ethan turned toward her fully. She continued, choosing each word carefully. "If a royal survives because of another's blood, that person becomes a life-bearer. Their life is protected by royal law. No noble may harm them." Ethan let out a short, humorless laugh. "Then why are they hunting me?" he asked. Lyra's eyes darkened. "Because the law was changed," she said. "Twisted. What was once honor became control." She paced slowly despite her weakness. The Empire learned that life-bearers could be used. They could be forced into loyalty. They were displayed as proof of royal mercy, but lived as prisoners. Ethan clenched his fists. "So I am not protected," he said. "I am bait." Lyra nodded slowly. "And a symbol," she added. "A human life-bearer is something the galaxy has never seen. They fear what you represent." Ethan shook his head. "I represent nothing," he said firmly. "I did not save you for power. I do not want a throne. I do not want rewards. I just want to live." Lyra looked at him in silence for a long moment. Then she lowered her head, not in weakness, but respect. "Humans are strange," she said softly. "In my empire," she continued, "power is always taken. You gave life and asked nothing." Outside the control room, footsteps echoed closer. Ethan pulled Lyra behind a console and armed a small charge. "I will get you out," he said. "No," Lyra replied. "We get out together." The words surprised them both. Ethan triggered a blackout in the sector. Lights died across the docking bay. Screams followed as systems failed. They moved through smoke-filled corridors. Ethan led with calm focus, using shadows and timing. Lyra followed, watching how he moved. "You fight without rage," she said quietly. "Rage wastes energy," Ethan replied. "Humans learned that early." They reached a quiet maintenance hall and stopped to rest. Lyra's breathing became uneven. Ethan felt a sharp pain in his chest. "The bond," Lyra whispered. "It shares damage." Ethan leaned against the wall, steadying himself. "So if you fall," he said, "I fall too." Lyra nodded, fear flashing in her eyes. "This was never meant to harm," she said. "The law protected both. But the Empire removed that balance." Ethan stared at the floor. "They broke something sacred," he said. Lyra met his gaze. "Yes," she answered, "and they will break more if we do nothing." They continued moving deeper into the station. A hidden console suddenly lit up near Lyra. Its symbols were old, encrypted royal level. Her body stiffened. "What is it?" Ethan asked. Lyra hesitated before answering. "A private channel," she said. She activated it with shaking fingers. A short message appeared, encoded in royal script. Her eyes widened as she read. "No," she whispered. "That is not possible." Ethan stepped closer. "Tell me," he said. Lyra swallowed hard. "The order to hunt me. It came from inside the royal circle. From my own bloodline." The words felt heavier than any weapon. Ethan felt cold anger rise in his chest. "They used you," he said. Lyra's voice trembled. "My family may be behind this," she replied. "And if that is true, then nowhere is safe." Far across the station, heavy weapons powered up. The Empire was closing in, and trust itself was now under threat. The trade city rose from the desert like a broken crown. Towers of metal and glass leaned at strange angles, held together by cables and hope. Ships of many species moved through the sky, loud, crowded, and careless. Ethan Cross and Lyra entered the city through a waste gate. They kept their heads low and their steps calm. Crowds were safety, but also danger. Lyra pulled her hood tighter, hiding the faint glow beneath her skin. Ethan scanned reflections in windows and metal walls. Hunters liked cities because fear made people blind. Inside the city, noise swallowed them. Vendors shouted, engines screamed, alarms rang and stopped without reason. Life here never rested. They moved into a narrow street, filled with smoke and heat. Ethan suddenly stopped and grabbed Lyra's arm. "Listen," he whispered. Lyra focused, hearing nothing at first. Then she noticed it. Footsteps that did not match the crowd. They turned sharply into a side path and dropped behind stacked crates. A moment later, armored figures passed, scanning, searching. Ethan smiled faintly. "They follow patterns," he said. "Humans break them." Lyra did not understand yet, but she believed him. They reached an old repair block deep inside the city. A sign flickered above the door, barely working. Inside, sparks flew and tools clanged. A human woman looked up from a table covered in medical kits. She froze when she saw Ethan. "Soldier," she said. "I need help," Ethan replied. "No questions." The woman studied Lyra for 1 second, then nodded. "I am Mara," she said. "I fix people who cannot go to stations." She locked the door behind them. Mara treated Ethan's wounds quickly, efficient and calm. Then she turned to Lyra, her eyes sharp with curiosity. "You are not human," she said. "No," Lyra replied, "but he saved me." Mara looked back at Ethan with new respect. "You always were like that," she said. Ethan gave a tired smile. "There is more," he said quietly. They moved to the back room, where a man worked on scrap drones. He was thin, dirty, and smiling. "Name's Cole," he said. Cole listened as Ethan explained the Empire, the hunt, and the bond. Instead of fear, Cole laughed softly. "So they bleed," he said. Lyra tilted her head, confused. "Power always bleeds," Cole continued. "You just have to show where." They planned quickly. Mar would keep Lyra stable. Cole would build tools from scrap. Ethan studied the streets on stolen maps. "They hunt with scanners," he said, "so we feed them noise." Cole built small signal decoys from broken parts. Mara filled smoke canisters with medical vapor mixed with dust. Ethan set simple traps using wires, doors, and timing. That night, the hunters moved. Their scanners lit up with false signals. They split up, exactly as Ethan expected. Smoke filled the lower streets. Decoys ran, alarms screamed. Silent shapes fell as Ethan moved through shadows. Lyra watched from above, her heart racing. Humans were smaller, slower, and softer than most species, but they did not stop. They adapted. They learned. They endured. "Your people fight like they refuse to accept the end," Lyra whispered. Ethan replied without looking back. "Because we often start there." With the hunters distracted, Cole accessed the city relay node. Lyra handed over the encrypted data from her royal message. Proof of orders, recordings, and betrayal. "If this goes out," Cole said, "the Empire cannot hide." Lyra nodded, fear and hope mixing inside her. As the broadcast prepared, heavy steps echoed nearby. "Too many, too fast." Ethan turned sharply. "They found us," he said. He pushed Lyra toward the exit. "Run." She hesitated. "I will not leave you." Ethan grabbed her shoulders, firm but calm. "You must," he said. "If I am caught, you live." She shook her head, eyes wet but strong. Before she could answer, a shock net hit Ethan from behind. His body slammed into the ground, muscles locking. Lyra screamed his name. Armored hunters surrounded him instantly, weapons raised. Their leader stepped forward and activated a loudspeaker. His voice echoed through the block. "Princess Lyra," he announced. "Surrender, or the human dies." Ethan struggled to lift his head. He looked at Lyra one last time, and nodded. The trap had closed, and the choice was hers. The air felt heavy as Ethan lay on the cold metal floor, his body locked by the shock net. Bright lights burned his eyes as armored hunters dragged him forward. Every step sent pain through his chest, but he did not scream. Across the open platform, Lyra stood frozen, her hands clenched. The hunter leader raised his weapon slightly, calm and confident. "This ends now," the voice echoed. Lyra stepped forward slowly, her heart pounding. "I will surrender," she said. "Release the human." The hunters paused, clearly pleased. Their leader smiled behind his mask. "A wise choice," he replied. Ethan lifted his head with great effort. "No," he whispered, though no one heard him. His body trembled as he fought the pain. Lyra looked at him, fear tearing through her. She saw the truth in his eyes. Surrender would not save him. She understood it clearly now. The Empire did not keep promises, especially not to humans. Lyra lowered her head, pretending to accept her fate, but inside her something changed. This was no longer about survival. She straightened her back and raised her chin. Her voice became steady and clear. "I am Princess Lyra of the Imperial blood." The hunters hesitated, surprised by the shift. "I command you to stand down," she said. Her royal mark began to glow brighter. Hidden systems around the platform reacted instantly. Old codes awakened, long ignored. Security doors across the docking ring slammed shut. Alarm screamed in a different tone now. Not a warning, but a lockdown. The hunters shouted in confusion. Lyra moved with purpose, not pride. She accessed a control panel with shaking fingers. "My blood still carries authority," she said softly. Ethan felt the shock net weaken for 1 second. He used that second. He always did. With slow, painful movement, he rolled onto his side. A small blade slid into his hand from his sleeve. Human habit. Human preparation. The hunters noticed too late. Ethan cut the net and gasped as control returned to his body. Pain exploded, but he stayed on his feet. Smoke filled the platform as emergency vents opened. Lyra disabled the inner doors of a nearby battleship dock. A massive steel wall slammed down between them and the hunters. Ethan ran, every step burning, lungs screaming. He did not stop. He never stopped. Blaster fire chased him through the smoke. Shots missed by inches as he dove behind cargo crates. His body moved on instinct alone. Lyra followed a different path, using maintenance routes only royals knew. Her hand shook as she ran, but her mind stayed sharp. She reached the battleship control node and locked it manually. The system resisted, then obeyed. "This ship will not open," she whispered. "Not to them." Behind her, footsteps echoed closer. Ethan burst through a side hatch and collapsed beside her. Blood soaked his uniform, but his eyes were still clear. "You should have run," he said weakly. Lyra grabbed his arm, pulling him up. "I am done running," she replied. Together they escaped into the city's upper levels. Below them, hunters cursed and regrouped, but the delay had cost them. Cole's voice crackled through a hidden channel. "You did it," he said, "but you bought seconds, not safety." Lyra looked up at the sky. Dark shapes broke through the clouds. Too many to count. Massive warships emerged one by one. Their lights blocked out the stars. The Empire had arrived. Ethan leaned against a wall, breathing hard. "That is a fleet," he said. Lyra nodded slowly. "Yes," she replied, "and now the galaxy will watch what they do." The sky filled with ships, and the war truly began. The city trembled under the shadow of the fleet. Warships hovered like dark gods above the towers. Their lights scanned streets, homes, and souls without care. Ethan and Lyra moved through an abandoned transit tunnel. Each step felt heavier than the last. The bond pulled at both of them like a wound that would not close. "The relay tower is ahead," Cole's voice whispered through the channel. "It controls long-range broadcast. If you speak there, the galaxy listens." The tower rose from the center of the city, tall and old. Once built for trade signals, now ignored and half-broken. Imperial troops guarded it lightly, confident in their fleet. Ethan studied the area with tired eyes. "They think power is enough," he said. "That is when humans move." Using smoke from burning vents and broken lights as cover, they slipped past patrols one by one. No loud fights, no wasted motion. A simple rope, a dark stairwell, a locked door forced open with a metal bar. Human methods against alien strength. Inside the tower, Lyra leaned heavily against a wall. Her skin had grown pale again. Ethan felt his heart slow and stumble. "We do this fast," he said. "Then we disappear." Lyra nodded, though fear filled her eyes. Cole patched them into the relay core. Screens lit up across the room. Connections reached outward into the stars. "This will reach trade worlds, border systems, even core space," Cole said. "You get one chance." Lyra stepped forward. She removed her hood. The royal mark on her chest glowed clearly now. No hiding, no fear. Her voice went out across the galaxy. Not loud, not proud. Just clear. "My name is Lyra," she said. "I am a princess of the Empire. I speak without guards." Screens across ships and stations lit up. Merchants stopped working. Soldiers paused mid-command. "Humans bleed for strangers," Lyra continued. "My empire kills for pride." The words were simple, but they cut deep. She gestured to Ethan. "This human gave his blood to save my life." He asked for nothing. Images appeared beside her. Medical scans, timestamps, blood transfer records. Clear proof, impossible to deny. Then came the darker files. Orders marked with royal seals. Commands to hunt, capture, erase. Recordings played. Voices of nobles discussing sacrifice and control. Calling life-bearers tools, not people. Across the galaxy, silence spread. Alien captains shifted uncomfortably. Some turned away from their screens. Lyra spoke again, her voice shaking now. The law was meant to protect. It was twisted to rule through fear. Ethan stood beside her, barely upright. His vision blurred, but he did not fall. "Humans are called weak," Lyra said, "but weakness does not give life. Choice does." A pause followed. Then signals appeared on the relay. Ships changing course. Some fleets powered down weapons. Some stations opened emergency channels. Allies, not declared but felt. Imperial commanders shouted orders. But hesitation had spread. And hesitation was something the Empire had never trained for. Suddenly, alarm screamed inside the tower. "They are cutting power," Cole warned. "You have seconds." Lyra looked at Ethan. Her strength faded quickly now. "I said what mattered," she whispered. Ethan reached for her. Pain tore through his chest like fire. The bond strained beyond limit. Lyra stumbled. Her knees buckled, and she collapsed into Ethan's arms. The screens around them flickered. The broadcast ended, but its echo remained. Ethan dropped to the floor with her, gasping. His hands shook as he held her close. "Mara," he whispered into the channel. "I know," the medic replied urgently. "The bond is feeding back. It is killing you both." Outside the tower, explosions rocked the city. But inside, only silence remained. Lyra did not move. Ethan pressed his forehead to hers. Human blood still tied them together. A bond of life now becoming a chain. And the galaxy held its breath. Fire spread through the upper levels of the station. Explosions tore open walls and sent sparks raining like burning stars. Emergency lights flashed red as systems failed one by one. Ethan carried Lyra through a narrow corridor, his steps slow but steady. Smoke burned his lungs, and every heartbeat felt wrong. But he did not stop. Imperial troops poured in from both ends of the corridor. Weapons fired wildly as the station shook. The final battle had found them. Ethan lowered Lyra gently behind a broken support beam. Her skin was cold now, her breathing shallow. The bond pulled at him like a knife inside his chest. "She is dying," Mara's voice said through the channel. "And so are you." Silence followed those words. Ethan looked down at Lyra's face. He remembered the wreck, the ash, the choice. And he made another one. He pulled out a small injector from his kit, loaded with the last of his own blood reserves. His hand shook, but his mind was calm. "This might kill me," he said softly, "but it will stabilize her." He pressed the injector to his arm. Lyra's eyes opened suddenly, glowing weak but aware. "No," she whispered. "Do not." Ethan smiled faintly. "Humans bleed for strangers," he said. "You taught the galaxy that." He pushed the injector forward. Pain flooded him like fire. His vision darkened instantly. Lyra screamed and grabbed his arm. Her royal mark flared brighter than ever before. Energy surged through the corridor. She pulled the injector away and threw it aside. "You will not die for me," she said fiercely. "I refuse." The station shook as another blast tore through the hull. Lyra stood, barely steady, but alive. Her eyes burned with choice, not fear. She stepped into the open corridor. Imperial soldiers froze as her presence hit their scanners. Royal authority flooded the systems. "I am Princess Lyra." Her voice echoed through every channel. "I renounce the throne. I choose exile." The words shocked the Empire more than any weapon. Royal seals shattered across command screens. Chains of power broke instantly. "I declare the human Ethan cross-protected and free," she continued, "by blood law older than this empire. No fleet, no noble, no crown may claim him." Across space, commanders hesitated. Some shut down weapons. Others turned their ships away. Rebel signals surged through the network. Worlds long silent rose in defiance. The Empire cracked under its own weight. Ethan collapsed to his knees, barely conscious. Lyra caught him before he fell. For the first time, she held him, not the other way around. They escaped the station as it burned behind them. A small ship slipping through chaos and fractured command. No pursuit followed. Days later, they rested on a quiet border world. No palaces, no banners, just open sky. Ethan woke slowly, breathing steady again. Lyra sat nearby, watching the horizon. "You stayed," he said weakly. She turned and smiled softly. "I am not bound," she said. "I choose. I will not leave the one who proved what honor is." News traveled fast across the stars. The Empire fractured into factions. Rebels spoke the name of a human soldier with respect. Humans were no longer seen as weak. They were feared and respected, not for weapons, but for heart. And somewhere beyond the stars, a new story waited to be told. Because humanity had just begun,